Sorry, you just blew my brain. Okay, to bloom is to just take a lesson from everything really, and yeah, be the best person I can be on this earth. So I've got lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. For the past 7 years, I've been battling with just loads of health issues, which has led me to have kidney failure. It's a weird journey because it's like you're healthy and then all of a sudden something hits you and then you've got to kind of start again. Your immune system attacks your organs. My journey with lupus is a bit different. I got diagnosed by A&E. It was like a 2-week period of just not being able to get out of bed, or my limbs had swollen up. Yeah, it wasn't a normal diagnosis for me. Dialysis takes up a lot of my time. I go 3 times a week, 3.5 hours a session. So now I don't have a Monday to Friday. My Monday to Friday is the days I go dialysis, and then the 3 days that I have off is like my weekend. That was probably one of the scariest moments. I didn't want to do the procedure. It was like, you either do the procedure or you're gonna die. And I just didn't want it. I didn't want to be awake while someone was trying to stick a needle in my heart. I just didn't want to. I'm very needle phobic, and in my brain I'm still healthy. Sometimes I feel like it's out of my control, but then it goes back to me knowing that there's something out there looking after me. I feel like it's all a test. This isn't our purpose to just be here and live and have kids. I think that there's something deeper past what we're living now. I'm really intrigued. I would love to know what's on the other side. Not that I'm trying to rush, to die anytime soon. I think being ill and being young, you get mistreated and judged a lot. People that do have hidden disabilities are good at hiding. I do believe that mindset has a big influence on healing yourself and making yourself feel better. So for years I couldn't wear just normal creams and shampoos and shower gels because my skin and my hair was just so sensitive. And at the time I was doing YouTube, so I used to meet a lot of people around the world with lupus that I'd never come across people who were sick before. And yeah, I just decided to make my own skincare stuff. So I started by making my own creams, which worked so well for me, which I turned into a business. So now I help other people with like sensitive skin or alopecia. I wouldn't change my life for the world. I love being sick and I love the lessons that I've learned from it. I feel like I'm more open, like I see life completely different now, and yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world. I'd do it all over again.
I'd say maybe that I'm a bit of a people pleaser. People don't really think a lot of bad things about me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in January 2019. When I found the lump, I didn't really think anything of it. I made my appointment mostly because I had a day off and I thought better to get it out of the way. And it's scary to think that if I didn't have that day off, I probably wouldn't have gone to get it checked out. And the doctor held my hand and said, I'm really sorry, but you do have breast cancer. Some friends didn't even want to visit me or phone me because they were scared to see how cancer had affected me physically and emotionally. I've definitely felt times where I didn't like who I was. I had to genuinely love myself and love the skin that I was in, love, what I do, what's around me, because if I didn't, I would have struggled so much in that recovery period. I think before I was somebody that was an extrovert, always out, always the friendly face, say yes to everything, yes to every function, yes to any question, and I think it was fake. I don't think it was who I really wanted to be. It's funny because when you have cancer, before you get the diagnosis, you don't know anything, and you're walking around like life is great, but you have cancer and there's no indication of it. So it wasn't until I started having chemo, and I think it was my 3rd chemo, where I just felt deflated. I couldn't really eat, I couldn't sleep. I'd be awake for about 20 hours a day. I didn't have the energy to do much. And I just kind of thought to myself, this is too much. Like constant pain all over the body, constant nausea, headaches, everything was aching. And I got to the point where I just felt like, I just want to die. I couldn't imagine what he would be feeling like if I wasn't around anymore, and who would be there for him. There's lots of people around and friends and family, but we're so close, we have such a close relationship, and he's a big mummy's boy. And those moments where I felt like I'm done, I just want to stop and I just want to call it a day, I would always imagine, it's so morbid, I would always imagine my funeral and how my son would feel. He was 7 at the time, and I would have this image of him, you know, in a black suit at my funeral, and I just thought, he wouldn't be able to get through that without me there. And that was the feeling that made me think, you have to hold on, you have to keep going, you've got to keep fighting, because not for me, not for my mum, my sister, my brothers, only for my son. You start off with so much treatment, you're in the hospital 3-4 times a week. I had radiotherapy, chemotherapy, hormone therapy, and I take tablets now. I had 2 surgeries as well. And all of that happened so quickly, and it's constant doctors, hospital, GP, doctors, hospital, GP, and then it stops. And you feel really scared because you're like, well, no one's checking. No one's doing MRIs, no one's doing ultrasounds, there's no mammograms. What happens now? So whilst I'll say I'm cancer-free, cancer isn't out of my life anymore, it's just a part of my life. It's like the little bird that sits on my shoulder and just follows me around, and we've become friends now. I definitely think I'm still on the journey of blossoming into myself. I don't even know if there's a destination, and you just have to live it and embrace it the whole way, rather than thinking about what am I going to be like after. There isn't an after, it's this is it. The journey is it.
To bloom. I wouldn't say I'm blooming yet. I'll say I'm just sprouting out the mud. And that's only become in like the last probably 3 years. When I look at myself before the 3 years, I think I've just been a kind of, not a robot, but I just grew up different than who I actually am. So that's why when you ask me who am I, it's like, man, don't really know that, because I'm only really starting to understand it on a very like deeper level. I'm just a bit different. There was always, oh, damn, he's a bit different. Having parents coming from Nigeria, coming here, they've obviously got degrees, but then they're doing jobs that their degrees aren't using. I guess for their children, it was like, you have to get very good degrees. But then I was that kid that was always daydreaming, drawing, instruments, acting a fool in class. But then that side kind of got like, no, you can't do that, you're very rebellious. I can't lie though, I got a degree in mathematics, so it's like, one good thing came out of it, do you know what I mean? I always laugh about it with my sister, yeah? My dad is very musical, innit? And that then led to me being very musical. But then it got to a point where my dad would be like, stop. So I used to beatbox, I used to like play drums on like the tables and stuff, and he'd be like, no, stop, don't be doing that, you're making too much noise. But yeah, I've suppressed myself for a very long time, and that leads to depression. So even like when I started university, I was depressed the whole year. You step out in London, you're already paying rent to breathe the air. So it's like I stayed in my house all the time, was barely eating because paying rent and then eating, and you don't have money, it's not working. 5 years ago, it got to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm ready to commit suicide. And I think I've contemplated suicide many times in my life, from like 9 years old anyway. And then yeah, it was just that day I was just like, all right, cool. It's time to go, it is time to go, but God said no. It's one of them ones where I'm fighting it from like a more rooted place, and also trying to find ways to fight it, I guess, you know. But yeah, but then it defines someone, innit? My job is to make everyone kind of, 1, believe in themselves, 2, believe in each other, 3, believe that a change is possible. Once you have all those 3 things, it's like, boom, anything is possible. That's the level that I'm trying to go at. World domination.